Well, today we are here to get us fired up and ready for the summer activities that will be going on here in the Northeast Tennessee area. 100 days of heat. We're looking at this time of getting all of us together, all of our agencies, getting everyone that is involved from the law enforcement side to other community partners to try to have one ultimate goal, and that is to save these lives on our roadways and to hopefully not have to bring bad news to a family that has been killed because of an impaired driver. This is the time that we know that people are going to begin getting on the roadways and traveling. We're going to have a lot of visitors coming through the state of Tennessee as well as the other states, and we want to make their travel just as safe as we can. As many of you noticed, we have a school right here beside us. They're getting out today. This was their last day. And all those kids are excited now. They're getting ready for the summer break. But we know a lot of these young children are going to be out in their neighborhoods riding bicycles or playing or whatever they may be doing. And we want to make sure that the roadways that they are out around or whatever is secure. We are partnering with the Tennessee Highway Patrol, with our 13 counties in the Tri-Cities area, all the municipalities, all of the sheriff's office. And we've already got some plans in place for what we're going to be doing. We know that enforcement activities have a benefit. And one of the things that we work toward through the Tennessee Highway Safety Office is not only enforcement, but education. And our ultimate goal is to change behavior, as each of you in this room know. Nothing troubles me worse than when I continue to see people on these highways texting and driving. When I see people that are continually driving impaired, those who will not wear their seatbelts, knowing that it's the law. These are the areas that we're going to put some attention to this summer. As many of you know, we just completed, back in April for Distracted Driving Week, we brought a bus up here. It's the Tennessee Highway Patrol bus. And the media was invited to this, was part of it. We had several agencies that participated with this. And this was done throughout the entire state of Tennessee. And it was very successful. I'll tell you, sitting in that bus and going beside people, this bus is fully marked. There is no doubt that this is a law enforcement vehicle. And one thing comes to my mind in Knoxville was when we pulled up beside this car, this gentleman was unwrapping his McDonald's hamburger, driving with his knee. And as soon as he got his hamburger unwrapped, he began to eat. But guess what? He's still driving with his knee. And then jokingly, as we're watching, the media zooms in, they're catching this Captain or Lieutenant McDonald, who was doing the lead on the bus, says, and he just littered his hamburger bun too. So now we've got texting and littering out here. These are the behaviors we need to change. You can't keep your trophy car driving on your knee. So as we prepare with our cities, our counties, our state, we're going to make a difference in this area. But guys, the only way we make a difference is through the partnerships that we have that are exhibiting this morning here at this press event. As of yesterday, we currently have 373 deaths in the state of Tennessee. We are currently 5 down from where we were in 2016, which that number was 378. In the Fall Branch District alone, where we all fall under, we've had 43 deaths on our roadways. We're 5 up from where we were this same time last year. All of you are working hard, you're putting your efforts in, and we're doing our part. And we're going to continue doing everything we humanly can to try to get folks to understand the importance of paying attention to other vehicles around them and to try to make good choices and decisions. We just completed a border-to-border event where all through the United States, every state was working with other states that border them. This is a one-day enforcement, and we are trying to continue our partnerships with our partners from other states because they too, I know, have the same concerns that we do. We don't want to have innocent lives lost on our roadways. So during this time, we're getting ready to celebrate Memorial Day, and that'll be next Monday. This is going to be a time where folks are going to be out by the lake. They're going to be out visiting with families. They're going to be having a great time. And I'd like to say to our driving population, do not let Memorial Day be a time that it turns into tragedy because someone from your party drove a vehicle when they were impaired and took a life of an innocent person because of their choice. And finally, we will be working on some nighttime enforcement as well. And we know that seatbelt use at nighttime is not as high as it is during the day. And unfortunately, we know through our stats and data that nighttime seems to have a lot of the fatalities that we deal with and we investigate. So I hope everyone today is getting pumped up, you're getting ready, and we're going to make a difference in Tennessee. And we're honored to be working with our states from Kentucky, Virginia, and North Carolina. And to all of you from these other states, we're here for you as well. I hope you'll just let us know what we can do to assist you all. So at this time, I want to introduce to you Captain Stephen Street. He is the commander of the Fall Branch District 5 here in the Northeast area. And Captain, would you just share a few words, please?
Keep it under 30 minutes.
They said to keep it under 30 minutes. There won't be any problem with that. But good morning, and just a couple of things I want to say. First of all, we've usually always had this event outside, and this year is the first year I can ever remember that we've had it indoors. And you know, we talk about 100 days of summer heat. Well, it don't feel like summer heat today, but it'll be here before we know it. And we'll talk about just a couple of things what we want to do on the highway patrol end of some enforcement initiatives we're looking forward to putting into place here shortly. But Chief Dawson with the Volunteer Fire Department here in Fall Branch and Chief Phillips, thank you for allowing us to come indoors today. Without you, we would probably be standing out in the rain and the wind. So we appreciate you, and not only do we appreciate you in this way, I know you stand beside our officers out on the road. Oftentimes you're the first ones to arrive and the last ones to leave. And I know when I was on the road, we could always count on the volunteer fire department. So thank you very much, and we do appreciate you. Today is a very important day for the Highway Patrol. Each year, right before the Memorial Day period begins, we start thinking about how we're going to gear up, what we're going to do for enforcement. And this year is no different. The only difference for me this year, my oldest son, he will hit the road, he'll start driving. This will be his first year. He'll turn 16 and he'll start driving on his own. And I think it means more to me this year than it has in the past years because it's so personal. It's very personal when we have family members out on the roads and we're wondering, are they arriving safely when they leave their destination? When they leave, are they going to arrive at their destination safely? And I had a gentleman call me just the other day. He's a friend of mine. I've known him for years, and he was when you're in a captain's position or a sheriff or a chief, we seem to get some complaints every now and then. And it's tough when you get it from your friends. And a friend of mine called me the other day, and he was complaining. He said, one of your troopers, I said, we've had a trooper stop my son, and he gave him a citation for not wearing his seatbelt. And I said, I understand. Did he not have his seatbelt on? He said, no, he didn't have his seatbelt on. But said the way the trooper stopped him, said, we'd never heard of a trooper standing outside of a car and motioning someone on the side of the road to stop. So he wasn't upset with his son getting the citation. He was upset the way it happened. And it's just odd. In law enforcement, we use different ways to enforce the law, and sometimes we're not always just sitting in a patrol car looking through a windshield trying to enforce the law. So it's a little different. But even he was upset. I asked him two questions. I said, I got two questions for you. Number one, did your son arrive safely at his destination? And he said yes. And I said, you did not end up at the hospital that day? And he said, no, I didn't. So I said, with that, I said, give me the trooper's name and I'll thank him for the job he did. And we left it at that. But anyway, we don't always, these troopers, these law enforcement personnel, we don't always get, you don't always get the recognition you deserve for the job you do. And I know that when I'm sitting behind the desk sometimes and I'm thinking, it's a tough job out there, and it's tough every day, and it's not getting any easier. And I know I appreciate the job that the troopers are doing in our district. We have lieutenants and sergeants that are putting together enforcement initiatives and overseeing those actions and making sure everything goes well, and I thank them for that. The sheriffs, thank you. We have a great working relationship with every county we're in, and I thank you for helping us and supporting Highway Patrol, and any way we can help you guys, please let us know. And with that, Steve mentioned just a couple things about numbers and statistics. One of the things he mentioned was that we've had 43 fatalities here in Fall Branch already this year, which is five more fatalities than we had at the same time last year. Out of those 43 fatalities, 19 of those fatal crashes, they were unrestrained. They were not wearing a seatbelt. Now, I don't know that every one of those crashes, if they'd had their seatbelt on, if it had made a difference, but I dare say that several of those crashes, it would have made a difference. It would have made a difference even to the point of not just an injury. They may have walked away with just a minor scratch or an abrasion, where if they had just simply put their seatbelt on. So what we're going to be doing for the next 100 days is what we do all year. We'll step that enforcement up. We'll be trying to make sure everyone's wearing a seatbelt, slow down and arrive safely. We'll be looking for texting while driving. That's one of the main problems we're having on our roadways right now. And of course, we'll be looking for impaired drivers. So we need the help of the public. We can only do it so much as in law enforcement. There's a certain number of people here from all the agencies today, but these agencies represent all 13 counties in the Fall Branch district. So we have a large group of law enforcement people that'll be out working, but we need the help of the public. If we can just get everyone to buckle up, don't text and drive, don't drink and drive, and drive safely, we'll be a lot better off come this time next year. We'll have a great summer, and that's what we're hoping to do. Very quickly, I want to introduce a good friend of mine. And I say it, he is a good friend of mine. The director of the Tennessee Highway Safety Office, Vic Donahoe. Vic and I have worked together for quite some time. Back when I first met Vic, he was working with the governor's residence in Nashville with the Tennessee Highway Patrol. Vic has 28 plus years with the Highway Patrol. Last year he became the new director of the Tennessee Highway Safety Office when we merged, and Highway Safety came over from Department of Transportation under the Department of Safety. And Vic is, we lost. The Highway Patrol, we lose in this deal. The Highway Safety Office gains. And Vic, we miss you with the Highway Patrol, but we're glad we still have contact with you, sir.
And it's a pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm going to be very brief. I think Steve and Captain Street have covered most everything. As I got out, one of the THP lieutenants said, well, Vic, I've seen you up here more than the past few months than I've ever seen you in 28 years. My last 7 years were spent in the Internal Affairs Division, so they didn't want to see me. But it seems like there has been a change of attitude amongst the Highway Patrol where they like to see me come now, and it is a pleasure, and I do have a lot of friends with the Highway Patrol. I want to shout out to Sheriff Grable. Back in 2001, I met then Major Grable at the Staff and Command School in Nashville, Tennessee, and we spent 10 weeks together going through Northwestern Staff and Command. So I have a special relationship with him, and I thank you for being here. I want to thank all the sheriffs and chiefs for being here. I also want to thank the fire department for their facility being inside. I think Stephen said this is the first year it's ever been inside. It's also the first year that I've attended. I didn't get invited the last 7 years for some reason, but he said we were good friends, but I didn't get invited. But I also want to thank all of you. It's important that we have the buy-in from the prosecutors as well as the judges and all of our traffic safety partners across the state. During the next 100 days, I want you to think about how many vehicles are going to be out on the road. School's out. There's going to be people going on vacation, a lot of vehicles on the road. There's going to be a lot of construction, as you well know. So in these construction zones, enforce these laws in the construction zones to protect these workers that are out in our working on the road, the highway maintenance officers. TDOT has lost more highway maintenance workers than the Highway Patrol has lost troopers. So think about that. when you're out here working enforcement. I also want to thank the Holston Valley Hospital for having Dr. here, and especially our state partners, North Carolina, Virginia, and Kentucky, for being here. I look forward to the next 100 days of working towards 0 fatalities. I ask the public for voluntary compliance with their seatbelt and putting on, buckle up before you start up. Don't drink and drive, don't text and drive, and arrive alive. And that's my message. I thank you all for being here. Look forward to the next 100 days. Maybe at the end of this, we'll be able to say that during this 100 days, fatalities in Fall Branch District in the 13 counties due to your efforts were reduced as compared to last year. So thank you.
Thank you, Director. At this time, I'd like to introduce to you a great partner from Kentucky, Bob Criswell. He's the law enforcement liaison for the state of Kentucky, and he and I have been good friends since I've been an LEL here in Tennessee, and he's here to share a few comments from the state of Kentucky. Bob?
Thanks, Steve. Good morning. I'd like to begin by expressing apologies. Dr. Noelle Hunter, our executive director, was slated to be here today, and we started clicking her ticket on the 22nd of May. So she is really covered up with media obligations and logistics for our enforcement partners and things like that. She could not be here, so she asked me to speak for a minute. To be brief, when you look at Kentucky's fatalities historically, we've had an increase in fatalities the past 2 years, 2015, 2016. In 2016, we had 838 fatalities, total fatalities in the Commonwealth. A couple things I can tell you about that is Steve mentioned nighttime fatalities. It's a big emphasis for us because 70% of the nighttime fatalities in Kentucky in 2016 were unbelted. Okay, that's a big red flag for us. We have many of the same challenges that you guys have in Tennessee, Virginia, North Carolina. We're looking at raising our belt usage to try to reduce severity and frequency of those injuries and those fatalities. We're looking at distracted driving, trying to come up with enforcement strategies to lessen that because that is an epidemic in our state. It's really contributing to a lot of injuries and fatalities. And we have a really bad problem with DUID, with impaired driving. So those are some of the things that we're looking at right now. It's great to see such a large group here. It lets everybody know how concerned that law enforcement people are. Also, we're working with our media partners because that's one way you have to get the word out on the education part. A couple of things I'd like to say is to thank the Tennessee Office of Highway Safety for inviting us. The hospitality is always great when we come down here. And of course, I'd like to particularly thank the Kentucky State Police. They're a great partner, a great law enforcement and media partner with us all across the Commonwealth of Kentucky, and they do a great job. In closing, I'd like to just throw out one thing here. 4 years ago today, I don't know if you guys have heard about this, Officer Jason Ellis of the Bardstown Police Department was killed. He was on his way home at the end of his shift, and he was ambushed in Nelson County and killed. And of course, that's still an open investigation. And it just so happens he was a canine officer, and his dog died Tuesday this week. So if you would, during this time, please keep his family and his agency and his friends in your thoughts and prayers. Thanks.
I'd like to introduce to you all Carol Jones. She's with the Holston Valley Medical Center here in the northeast area. She's with the Level 1 Trauma Service. I had a good relationship with Carol, got to meet her, and the hospital really wants to be more involved with you. So we appreciate Carol being with us today. She's going to share a few words with you from the hospital. So Carol?
Good afternoon. Thank you guys for inviting us. First thing, I'm not a doctor. I'll clarify that for sure, but I'm a nurse with the trauma service and representing Holston Valley. Injuries are the leading cause of death for ages 1 to 44, and we know that motor vehicle crashes are the #1 cause of trauma deaths. 80% of teenage fatalities are from motor vehicle crashes, as well as 60% of childhood deaths. In our region alone, 2011 to 2015, 22 teenagers' lives were lost, and many more since 2015. So we hear these statistics over and over and over. We see the crosses along the roads, the memorials along the roads where kind of resemblant or remind us where a crash had happened and probably lives were lost. Our kids go to school, that parking place is empty, the flowers are there. It's the empty spot on the team that they played on. It's the empty seat at work, and they're always missed. So this is, we're reminded every day of different things that remind us of what happens with motor vehicle crashes. The news, just about every day, we hear the latest version or the latest crash that occurred. So we see the families every birthday, every Christmas, the 1-year anniversary of the car crash or the day they died, and they're still dealing with the pain and things that they went through. So all the law enforcement, fire departments, EMS, we have representatives from our flight team, our trauma centers, our rescue teams. We train every day. We train to be prepared and ready to handle anything that comes our way. But it's just not enough. It just still, there's more to be done. It's lives lost, and it's the devastating injuries that we deal with that stay with us for a long time. Children lose their parents, parents lose their children. So we just watch all these families and co-workers and friends, their lives are broken and they're trying to pick up the pieces. But we've heard a lot of statistics, and we hear these numbers, but I think we realize it's not just numbers, it's people, and it's people's lives. So we're out there and we're trying to say, please wear your seatbelt, please put the phone down, please don't eat and drive, be aware of where you're driving. We receive patients from Virginia, Kentucky, North Carolina, Tennessee. We're very active in the court system in Virginia on trying to talk with the teenagers and really bringing it home in a real way for them. We hope, we take great pride in being in a place to where if someone is hurt, and we receive the worst of the worst when they're hurt, we take great pride in being there, and anybody here will do anything to try to help these folks. But we hope we never see you. It's our sincere hope we never see anyone when they're injured and facing the tragedy that they face. So we ask the folks in the region, it's one simple act of putting a seatbelt on. It's one simple thing to think, I'm going to leave my phone down. I'm going to pay attention to where I'm at. And let that be more important to you in preventing a car crash, or not wanting your family to go through the pain that we know families go through. Let that be much more important than the stubbornness of I'm not going to put my seatbelt on, or I'm uncomfortable in the car when I do. Let the tragedies that can happen be much more important than that. Thank you.
I would like to introduce to you Captain Bob Chappelle with the Virginia State Police. We are glad to have you, sir, and the men here as well. Would you come and share a few words from the state of Virginia?
Good morning, thank you. First off, I'd like to thank the Highway Safety Office and Tennessee Highway Patrol for inviting us. I'd also like to thank Fall Branch Volunteer Fire Department for having us in this nice facility and feeding us. Each morning when I come into my office, I look at the fatal deaths that have occurred in the Commonwealth of Virginia from the night before. And I can't help but wondering if we are not accepting death as commonplace, as long as it occurs within a traffic crash. And I would say, you know, to my partners in law enforcement, I can't thank you enough for showing the commitment that you're showing today to projects like the 100 Days, or Click It or Ticket, or in Virginia, Drive to Save Lives, or Border to Border, or any national campaign, because I feel like that we must show the citizens that we cannot give up. We cannot say that because we're not making a difference seemingly in statistics, that regardless of our effort, it doesn't seem to be going down. Because I think the public looks to us. They look to us, as I tell my troopers, to bring calm to chaos. Whether we're talking about a hectic situation, a terrorism incident, or a serious crash, they depend on us. So we must continue to brainstorm through 100 Days of Summer and other campaign projects to show the public that we are not accepting death in a traffic crash as the everyday norm. We're pro in our law enforcement. We want to be proactive. So we're using every avenue that we have. We've had some great partners up here speak already about the things that the citizens can do to help us in our efforts. And we've talked about reducing our speeds, not drinking and driving, put down that cell phone, the things that you can do. And from law enforcement, you know, we want to show our proactiveness not only with partnership projects, but also with visibility. So I think that with a team effort of citizen participation, law enforcement brainstorming, and the great teamwork that we're demonstrating today, we can make a dent in this, and we can show that we actually are deserving of the respect that we're getting from the public, because they know that day in and day out that we're going to be there for them, and that we're going to continue to make a difference in crime and a difference in society. So I thank you again for including Virginia and our Virginia agencies. I thank you for partnering with us in our projects, and I look forward to good things in the future. Thank you again.
Thank you, Captain. And our last speaker is Chief Deputy Troy Cook, and he's with the Avery County Sheriff's Office. And would you share some comments from North Carolina, please?
Thank you, Steve. My name's Troy Cook. I'm with the Avery County Sheriff's Office, North Carolina. We border Carter County and Johnson County, Tennessee. I am with a sheriff's office. I worked for a sheriff one time, and when I sat down for the interview, he said, "I don't want any troopers out there, so I've got the highway patrol for that." And so he didn't put a lot of emphasis on traffic. But I can't think of a more important goal than to prevent the loss of lives for law enforcement. And I'm a statistics kind of guy. I'm a numbers kind of person. And I'm just wondering how many homicides we've had in the Fall Branch District this year. And how many deaths have we had on the highway? It's kind of easy to get the message out there. We have seen, everybody in law enforcement has seen dead bodies. We have seen that. The public doesn't necessarily see that all the time. I think numbers are a good way, statistics are a good way to get that message out there. And I appreciate all those numbers that are thrown at me. It speaks to me, and I think it would speak to the public if we can just get that message out. And I do agree that education and enforcement go hand in hand with the mission of the Governor's Highway Safety. I'm just a little bit nervous here. If I was a governor and that federal money came to me, I'd probably call it the Governor's Highway Safety too, but we do appreciate that. Small agency in North Carolina, we have 25 sworn officers. We recently sent 3 officers to be trained in child safety seat. installation. So we do put an emphasis on that. And we do cooperate with our governor's highway safety program. In fact, several years ago, I wrote a grant, and we actually had a traffic position here in Avery County. So we're in total agreement with you guys. We appreciate you inviting us over. Sorry that the North Carolina Highway Patrol didn't show up today. We'll try to prevail on them to come next year. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chief. All right, as we begin to close up, Director Donahoe, if you don't mind, sir, would you come in front of the podium? And I'd like, in front of the podium, sir? Right here.
Richard first.
And I feel odd telling my director, get in the front here. But I would like to ask Captain Street, would you come to his immediate right? And with a representative from the Kentucky State Police, would you come up, please, and stand beside Captain Street with Tennessee? Captain, would you come over to the immediate left, please, of our director? And Chief, would you come and stand beside? This is what we normally do after each event. We want you to know that we are partnering together, and we're excited what we're going to do. Director, if you'll just put your hand out in the middle. Guys, if you'll just top on him. This is our way of saying thank you for your partnership, and we're going to make a difference here in these states throughout. So thank you all for being here, to all of the officers that are here today. All right, thank y'all very much. Thank you, sir. Hey, all right, guys, if you'll do me a favor, everybody take your attention back to these fine firemen. Everybody look back this way, and with a big old good old Tennessee yell, let's say thank you. Thank you, guys. Thank you. All right, guys, as we're closing up the press event, thank you to all of our media. We have just one final little thing to say, and we're going to bless our food, and we're going to eat some food. How's that sound? Director? Yes.
Okay. Come here, Richard. As most of you know, Richard Holt has been with the Highway Safety Office for 18 years. He is the founder, or laid the foundation for the LAL program in Tennessee, which is nationally renowned and nationally recognized as one of the best in the nation. And currently he serves as administrator for the Law Enforcement Liaison Program. He has been a huge supporter of traffic safety, education, all across the state, from starting the drug recognition expert program before we had a two-test system, and continuing on with that program until today. June the 30th, Richard is retiring, and I want you all to give him a round of applause for his work in highway safety. You're welcome to say anything.
That's kind of, listen, decision you make like that, you're always kind of apprehensive when you make it, but let me tell you, is 45 years in law enforcement is probably a good term, but as that June 30th day gets closer, I get more excited. But let me tell you that working in the Highway Safety Office has been the highlight of my career, including being chief of police. I have met so many wonderful people, and there's a lot of great people across this country and in this state, in our bordering states, that have meant so much to me, and they're so dedicated. And I ask you to continue that dedication that I've seen grow during my 18 years here in the Highway Safety Office. Thank you all very much. It's so great to come up here and be with all of you, and I hope to get to come back some just to visit. Thank you.
been a good day, guys. Been a great day. To our media, thank you again for coming. We hope you all will have time to stay, maybe enjoy lunch with us. I'd like to give you a personal invitation. If you have any questions, our Public Information Officer, Ariel Tapson, is here, and our director will be available if you should have any comments from him.